How's it going, everybody? A little bit later than expected, but my reaction to Joyce versus Zhang 2. Now, going into this fight, I favoured Zhang. I thought it was a tricky one. I thought that Joyce could make the adjustments. Not necessarily. I thought Joyce would do what Joyce did. I never expected Joyce to move his head. I thought he would more so try and stay to Zhang's right, stay away from the power hand. And for the first round, that's what he did. We saw it. It nullified the left hand. He had his shoulder like this and the right hand here, and it was blocking that left hand. Obviously, it's a slow starter. Neither guy really threw that much, but that was the route he was obviously going down. I'm not really sure on why they deployed the shoulder roll. Obviously, it did work to nullify that left hand that Zhang landed so well in the first fight. However, as soon as Zhang stepped up the pace, it was just completely cracked. That guard just did not work. The first thing I noticed watching that and seeing that left hand block, I was thinking, oh, right, well, that is working. However, it's going to create the opening for the follow-up right hand. And I saw that from round one. There was just no adjustments. That game plan was only made to block the left hand. As soon as Zhang would throw that right hand, even if it was just a jab, it would get him into range. And then he was able to throw the left hand from there because the guard was nullified. So it was a strange one. If I'm honest with you, it's one of the reasons I thought that rematch was so tricky. Zhang is big, he's solid, he's fast, he's powerful, and he's a southpaw. It's just a tricky style for someone like Joyce to work out. And it kind of followed suit as expected. I must admit, I did not expect a knockout so brutal. It was really gutting to see Joyce take a shot like that. It didn't necessarily come out of nowhere because those shots were landing. But just that brutality of that individual punch. Joyce obviously blocked the left hand and thought he had a chance to counter, but it was just too slow for the sharpshooter, Zhang, who just absolutely cracked him on the chin. All of Joyce's weight going through that punch, right on the chin. Absolutely brutal. Very good performance from Zhang. I really like Zhang. I've liked him for a while. I like the way he says Chinese power. I like the way he says chat shit, get zhanged. He's got quite a few catchy catchphrases. He's a likeable guy, and he can fight. He's exciting. He just produced a knockout of the year contender against one of boxing's most durable fighters. It was only a couple of months ago that we were talking about Zhang Joyce as having the greatest chin in the sport today. I really do like Zhang. Looking forward for both guys, starting off with Zhang, who is obviously the winner. I mean, the obvious one would be a title shot against the likes of either Usyk or Fury. As far as I'm aware, I think Usyk is fighting Hrgovic as a mandatory. I may be mistaken on that. And Fury is obviously occupied with Ngannou for the meanwhile, which is just his own story. And I just think that's wrong because people like Zhang, who's 40 years old, worked his entire way to get to this this title shot, isn't going to be able to fight it because the champion is occupied with someone like Francis Ngannou, which, as a fighter myself and, someone that's into the sport, I just think that's completely wrong, if I'm honest. I feel like if Fury's going to fight Ngannou, he should either be stripped or it shouldn't be happening whilst you're an active world champion, the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. It just should not be happening whilst you are in that position. And if it is, I just don't think you should be champion. Not defending the titles and fighting a UFC fighter. We saw the likes of Floyd Mayweather do it against Conor McGregor. Mayweather was retired. Muhammad Ali did it against the wrestler, but he'd fought everyone of his era already. There's still major fights to be made, but that's a completely different topic for another day. Where does Zhang go from here? I don't know. As I say, both champions look like they're occupied in the immediate future. After the Ngannou fight, potentially, Zhang versus Fury, I would absolutely love to see it. Zhang is a breath of fresh air in the heavyweight division. A big, solid, powerful southpaw with a likeable personality and and some good catchphrases. I do think that he'd pose problems to Fury. He's tall. We've seen Fury struggle with southpaws before. He's got that brilliant left hand. I do think he might be a little bit too slow and a little bit too slow on the stamina side. I think he could gas out against Fury. But again, it's an intriguing fight. It's better than a Chisora. It's better than an Ngannou. And it's great to see Zhang in the title contention. However, I don't actually know where he's going to go next, considering the champions are taken up. But it can only go up. Maybe a Ruiz fight. I can't see him fighting Wilder personally, but you never know. But yeah, I look forward to seeing him in the future. I really like him, as I say, and I feel like he beat Hrgović. I said it before and I say it again. The fact that I believe Hrgović has got the Usyk opportunity, or is next in line for Usyk, I feel like Zhang deserves that shot personally. If Zhang was to fight Usyk, it'd be a tricky one, southpaw against southpaw. I mean, I really don't know. I feel like the way Zhang boxes, his shots are quite on the centre line, straight left hand. It doesn't really work the body that much. Obviously a huge, powerful man, but I think Usyk would be able to box around him. However, it would be good to see. Joe Joyce, where's Joe Joyce going to go now? Oh man, it's really difficult to say. Now, I am the first person to not jump on fighters when they take losses, even back-to-back losses. You look at the UFC, these guys lose 10, 20 fights and they're still big names. However, in the case of Joyce, that's two brutal losses there. Two brutal defeats, especially that one on the weekend. And, we've seen fighters come back from multiple knockout losses. It does take something out of a fighter, but we've seen it. However, Joyce is 38 years old, and it just didn't look... He looked completely outclassed in there. He looked slow. And as gutted as I am to say, I really don't know where we're going to see Joyce go from here. As I said before, I'm a big Joyce fan. I trained with Joe. He's one of the nicest fellas in the sport, and he's got some really good wins. The Dubois win, the Parker win. He did it. He was a bit of an anomaly really, because it was like, what he's going to do. He does it. He obviously has good tools with it, like that excellent jab. But he was just beating good fighters. It wasn't particularly fast. There was no glitz, no glamour, no surprises, but he did it. And it got to that stage where you just thought that he's just going to keep wearing people out. He's just tough enough to take the shots. And we've obviously seen now that he's not. When you go in against a sharpshooter like Zhang, you can't box like that. So I don't know where Joe's going to go from here. I don't think we'll see him win a world title personally. I think Fury and Usyk are too good. Even guys like Zhang. Potentially, he does say he wants to carry on. Potentially, we could see maybe a Dubois rematch. It's something along those lines where it could be a good bit of money, good bit of interest. Dangerous fight, maybe a rebuild fight in between. But both of those guys are coming off of top level losses. But I really don't know where he's going to go from here, if I'm honest with you. But again, it's good to see these big heavyweight fights. The heavyweight division has been a little bit strange lately, with Fury obviously fighting Chisora and Ngannou, Usyk being out of the ring for a while until that Dubois fight, which I thought was a good fight. But really, with the situation with the WBC heavyweight title, it's been a little bit off. We haven't seen the major fights. Obviously, Wilder and Ruiz aren't fighting. So it's good to see two top heavyweights in Joyce and Zhang getting in there and putting it all on the line. Let's see where we go now. I really don't know. Hopefully, I'm really hoping next year we see the big heavyweight fights. We see Usyk versus Fury, Joshua versus Wilder. We can see just all of these big fights. Zhang getting in the mix, Ruiz getting back. As someone that's involved heavily in boxing, always watching, I see so many, not casual fans, but so many of the casual fans just slating the heavyweight division these days, saying it's the worst division we've had in decades. But it really isn't. It's actually a very good division. We've got one of the all-time great cruiserweights that's just moved up in Usyk. We've got one of the all-time great potentially heavyweights in Fury, who I think gives anyone in history problems. We got one of the hardest punchers in history in Wilder. Although he may be wild, he has one of the most dangerous right hands ever. We've got good fighters like Joshua, who's got an excellent resume, two-time heavyweight champion, former heavyweight champions in Ruiz. We got Big Bang Zhang, a couple of heavyweights coming up. All we need is these guys to fight each other consistently, make the big fights happen in the glamour division, and then boxing will explode in the heavyweight division. But anyway, that's enough for this video. If you like the content, make sure you subscribe. Let me know what you want to see next. Drop a comment, drop a share, and thank you.